Hey everyone, I'm here with Raul. Raul, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
So Raul Vora is the founder and CEO of Superhuman, and previously he was the founder of Reportive, which started a Gmail extension ecosystem, and also was acquired by LinkedIn. Raul is also a designer, a gamer, and a computer scientist, and I'm honestly, personally, very excited to have you here and interview you about Superhuman. I'm a pro user, as you know. I love Superhuman. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thanks. So let's start. What is Superhuman?
Superhuman, for those that don't know, is the fastest email experience in the world. Most of our users end up getting to their inbox about twice as fast compared to in Gmail. And many of them see inbox 0 for the first time in years, which, as you can imagine, is pretty life-changing.
Great. So can you give us a few use cases, or maybe can we demo Superhuman so everyone can see?
Sure. Let me share my screen. Looks like you're going to have to... Wonderful. Fantastic. Okay, folks. So you're looking at Superhuman. You're looking at my inbox, and I'm going to share 3 things that help our users get through their inbox twice as fast as before. I realize that's a big claim, but by the end of seeing these 3 things, you'll be fully convinced. And this is just a selection of the things inside the Superhuman. So first of all, it's the raw speed of the interaction, the speed of the interface itself. When Paul Buchheit, who was the employee at Google, sat down to build Gmail, he had a rule, the 100 millisecond rule, and that rule said that every interaction should take place in 100 milliseconds or less. Why? Because that's the threshold at which point things feel instantaneous. We've taken that rule and taken it to the next level. We have a 50 millisecond rule. Let me turn on some of the performance metrics. Now you'll see here I'm in a thing called Superhuman Command. Superhuman is aggressively keyboard shortcut driven. Anyone with an analyst or a programmer or a technology background will love that aspect of Superhuman. It's one of the key parts of how you get through your inbox so fast. Superhuman Command is the way that you do anything. It's the way to look up a shortcut if you don't already know it. I am going to turn on the performance metrics, and I'm just going to open this email over here. Now you'll see a number down there in the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm going to flip back and forth between these emails. And you can see we're actually able to get the email onto the screen in as fast as 45 milliseconds per email. This is more than twice as fast as the 100 millisecond rule. And that's a big part of what makes Superhuman feel instantaneous and a pleasure to use. But of course, it's not just the speed of interaction, it's also the speed of the big things that happened around interaction, things like search. So let's take a look at search and see how that works. I want to type in an email address to one of my co-founders here, and boom, instantaneous search results. I can do that for another co-founder, and boom, instantaneous search results. I can even do it for people I don't really email that often. So Jackie, who I work with over at Launch, she works with Jason Calacanis, and I do their show every now and then. I've been emailing her since 2015, and you can see that as soon as I hit enter, instantaneous search results that go back for 5 years. So the speed of interaction, instantaneous. The speed of search, super fast. And all of this comes together to keep you in flow, prevent you being distracted, and to help you get through your inbox twice as fast as before. So that's the speed of search and the speed of interaction. Now let's look at the speed of workflow. And for that, I'm going to show you a type of email I get quite a lot of. It's going to be from Elliot. Oops, can't type today. I get this email all the time. Hi Rahul, can we please get Ed CC'd onto Superhuman? He does a ton of email and will love it. Now let's see what a pain that would be to do over in Gmail. So I've got the same account loaded up here in Gmail. Superhuman lives on top of your Gmail account, so you don't need to change email address or anything like that. Let's get Ed onto Superhuman. Let's see what it would be like. So first of all, I have to click reply. Now technically, this is an email introduction, so I have to come over here, and then I have to drag Elliot to BCC, but actually that means I have to come all the way over here, very laboriously using the mouse at this point. Click this guy, drag him over here, click this guy, drag him over here, and then I have to say, thank you, Elliot, to BCC. And then I actually begin the work. Hi, Ed, pleased to meet you. please fill out superhuman.com/welcome, and please also meet Sahar and Caitlin. They'll find us time to connect. And I'm not even done yet, because I have to now come back over here. I have to add Sahar and Caitlin on CC, which actually means I need to come all the way over here and then come all the way back here. And then I have to make sure I've got the right one. I've got 3 Sahars. This is the right one, the real Sahar. And then I want to add my EA Caitlin, and the user interface is janking up for some reason. No idea what's happening now. And then I want to actually BCC the team, because I want to be a team player. So I have to come here and so BCC the CRM. You might BCC Salesforce or whatever else you're using. And I'm still not done. To actually do this properly would take me about 5 minutes. It's a huge deal. I get hundreds of these emails a week. Let's head back over to Superhuman and see just how fast I can get it done. Now, technically, this is an introduction. There is a command for everything, including introductions. I hit Command K to pull up Superhuman command. I type in intro. There is a direct shortcut for this command. It's Command Shift I. So let's try that and see what happens. Command Shift I, and 3 things happened simultaneously. It replied all, it moved Elliot to BCC, and it said, "Thank you, Elliot," to BCC. And if I didn't like what it did, I can hit it again, and it will just cycle through all the possible states. Now, in this case, the correct state is, in fact, moving Elliot to BCC, the state that it guessed first, and now I'm ready to get on with the rest of the email. Because this is an email I get a lot of, I have pre-programmed in a snippet. I've got lots of snippets built in. I'm going to use the Survey VIP snippet, and that does 4 more things. It CCs Sahar, it CCs Caitlin, it BCCs the Growth Archive, and it types out a really nice email so I don't have to do this manually. Let's see how fast I can go when I'm moving at speed. It is as fast as 1 and 2. And now you can start to see how people get through their email twice as fast as before. 1 and 2, send, and I'm done. Well, actually, I'm not done because I have to sign in. But that's how fast you can go. Now, that's the second thing. I promised I'd show you 3 things that help people get through their inbox twice as fast as before. The third one is going to be about hitting inbox 0 sustainably. I now hit inbox 0 every single day. It's truly life-changing, and it's made me a better CEO. Let me show you how I do that. But let's take a look at this inbox. This inbox is a real pain to get through. Now, I get many, many emails per day. I actually receive, in any given minute, up to 5 emails. That can be thousands of emails per day. Let's take a look at the kind of emails I'm getting. I'm getting marketing emails. I've got business development emails. Here's one with Evernote. I've got customer support emails, calendar emails, GitHub emails, recruiting emails. You name it, it's here. Now, we know that the best way to get through a list is just to work through things one by one. But in your email, if you just did that without any kind of structure, you'll explode your mind, because you're going to context switch from recruiting to engineering to business development, back to engineering, back to recruiting, all in the space of a few minutes. And that's just not an effective way to work. That's like interrupting yourself every few minutes. So what can we do to solve this problem? We use a really powerful feature called split inbox. Now, we're a technology company. The critical path for making progress in our company is, of course, how fast we can build. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up a GitHub email. There's one right here. And I want to do Command K split. Now, this is going to give me the option to split out my GitHub emails either by all the notifications or just by the mentions. At this point, I don't need every GitHub email, but I do want to reply super fast to every single time I mentioned. As the CEO, I set the bar for how quickly the company moves in terms of how quickly I respond to email, Slack, whatever it is. In this case, I want to create this GitHub split. And so here I am creating it. I now have a separate inbox just of all of my GitHub emails. I now can promise to my engineering team, I'm going to inbox 0 these on a daily basis, and so you'll never be waiting for more than a day to receive that commentary on the color or the copy or the user interface or the interaction design or whatever it is you need to be unblocked. But what if you're not an engineer? Well, we still need to move quickly. We happen to use Google Docs. You might use Office 365 at your company. It doesn't really matter. Let's find a Google Docs email. So here I am just doing a search. Here's a good one. And I want to do Command K split. And I want to split out my Google Docs emails. And now I have 3 different inboxes. I have my GitHub, I have my Google Docs, and I have my main inbox. But this main inbox, you can see it's all mixed up. There's things with people outside the company, there's things with people inside the company. So I'm actually going to go to my split inbox settings, and I want to turn on my team split. Now I have 4 inboxes that mirror the structure of my day. How do I use this? Well, I wake up in the morning and the very first thing I do is unblock the engineers so everyone can move fast and we build amazing products quickly. Then I switch over to my Google Docs and I unblock everybody else. Then I switch over to my team split and I take a look at any internal team emails. And then finally, I'm ready to face the outside world, knowing that I have moved incredibly quickly as a CEO. Now let's finally here pretend that I'm not a founder, I'm not the CEO, I'm not a product person, I'm in fact our lead recruiter. Well, I don't need GitHub. What would I instead have? Let's go off and turn off GitHub. What I would instead have is Greenhouse and candidates. If I'm a recruiter that's worth my salt, I'm inbox zeroing the list of all of the active candidate platforms every single day, faster than any other recruiter, and Superhuman lets me do that. And I'm also staying on top of Greenhouse as well. So between the speed of the interaction, the speed of the search, the speed of workflow with things like snippets, the speed of triage with things like split inbox, this is how people get to their inbox twice as fast as before and sustainably hit inbox zero.
I also want to share one use case of my split inbox of emojis instead of text. And I know what each emoji represents. This one is for calendar invitations. This actually is for birthdays to remind me about important birthdays that I have in my network. So this approach is very opinionated, right? Like inbox zero speed, but there are also other tools in the market that are also very opinionated. It sometimes feels like it's like a religious kind of thing, right? Some of it doing red on red, some of them inbox zero. But why do you think this is the right approach? Like let's take hey.com, for example, that they are more focusing on screening emails outside of your inbox. Like they have this screening feature and the security feature, and they don't believe in inbox zero. They're saying, you have read and unread. So why do you believe inbox zero and speed is so important for your email communication?
Hey and Superhuman are built for entirely different audiences. So as you probably know with Hey, you don't take over your old email. You have to sign up for a new Hey email. Whereas we built Superhuman for the people for whom email is work and work is email. Our users, their job relies on their email. If they're slow to respond, it could damage their reputation, it could block their team, or in the worst case, they could end up missing a deal or losing out on a candidate or having some major aspect of their work fall through. So for our users, hitting inbox zero, either they're doing it and they want to do it faster, or they're not doing it and they realize that they have to. It's just something that they need to do. Whereas Hey is designed for people who have lower email volume, essentially. So it really comes down to how much email volume you think you need to process and whether or not you want the best tool for the job.
Great. Also, something very special about Superhuman is the marketing approach as well. Like the fact that it feels a bit like an invite-only environment. You need an invite in order to get access to Superhuman, especially at the beginning. Why Superhuman is still invite only, and how do you think it it helps Superhuman or helped Superhuman grow over the years?
So people mistake our waitlist as some kind of growth or hype generating mechanism. Nothing could be further from the truth. For those that don't know, we actually onboard all of our users one-to-one. We do this wonderful white glove concierge onboarding. It's a 30-minute video call with one of our incredible onboarding specialists. They know productivity inside out. So everyone at this conference should be talking to them. They know email inside out, and they'll look at how you're doing your email in Gmail if that's what you're using today. And they'll show you how to do it twice as fast inside of Superhuman. And for us, that's just such a critical part of the experience. We want everyone to have a friend at the company. It's something that we designed in from the get-go.
I think a part of it, the methodology is really important for Superhuman. And do you see the onboarding a part of it?
We do, because sometimes we need to help people change their behavior, and that behavior can be very deeply ingrained. Take, for example, marking as unread. You'd ask the question, why is inbox zero better than that? Well, let me answer that directly. Imagine you have a full inbox, and you're marking things as unread. So what you do is you go in and you peek at the email, and then you realize you're not in a position to actually do it, so you mark it as unread. And then later on, your mind goes back to thinking about it, so you go in and you peek at it again, and then you're like, well, I can't do this right now, so you mark it unread. You might do this 3, 4, 5 times. I've onboarded hundreds of people, and I've seen this as actual behavior that people engage in. Now compare that to the inbox zero approach, where you archive an email when it's done. Now you still go in, you read it, you come away. You want to go back in and read it again. I wouldn't recommend doing it, but that's fine. If you need to, you can go back in and read it. You come away. You go back in, and when you're finally done, you archive it. Instead of doing n+1 actions, where n is the number of times you read the email, marking it as unread all that time, you just do one action when you're done. And when you're done, it disappears from your screen. It disappears from the list. It no longer occupies mental bandwidth. So for people who use Superhuman on a daily basis, they know that we've engineered the app, the product, to create a sense of flow. Superhuman is designed to prevent any distraction, any disruption, and to get you into that mentality of bang, 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 one email after the next, and that's how you get through your emails so fast. Now, that presumably makes a lot of sense when I explain it. It's obviously better to do one action than it is to do n+1 actions. It's obviously better to get things out of sight, out of mind when you're done with them, rather than have them hang around. It's obviously better to know how much you have to get done and have a sense of that counting down to 0, rather than to be faced with a seemingly infinite list of things to do. But sometimes you have to explain it to people. And that's part of the onboarding, is we'll take the time to much more slowly than I just did it, because I'm going fast, because I know everyone listening is an expert. We'll take the time to walk people through that at their own pace in the onboarding.
Yeah. Another question is about keyboard shortcuts. I love the way Superhuman implements keyboard shortcuts inside of the system. And, I've been using keyboard shortcuts for a while, like probably for the past 8 years and so. And, you have keyboard shortcuts in Gmail, but they are hidden somewhere and you cannot find them. Why do you think, in terms of the product philosophy, are you able to convince people to actually use keyboard shortcuts? It's very powerful, but no one actually uses it. And when I talk with people that use Superhuman, I'm hearing a lot about keyboard shortcuts. So what do you do differently?
Well, it comes out of a foundational belief that if you're on a desktop machine, a laptop machine, it is so much faster. And again, I realize I'm preaching to the choir here. I don't think anyone in the audience would not believe me, but it's not a widely held opinion. But there is a reason why if you go to Wall Street and you become an analyst, the first thing they do is they rip out your mouse. And they're like, no, you're going to learn how to drive Excel with the keyboard. There is a reason if you become an analyst in the IDF, they do exactly the same thing, because it's so much faster. And I mean, in the IDF example, like you're literally in life and death situations, and those microseconds actually count. They like really, really matter. Now, we've built Superhuman for the people who take their work that seriously, and fortunately, it's a self-selected group of people. So they're coming to us, and most of them actually haven't used keyboard shortcuts in the past, but they're self-aware enough to realize that the way they're doing it right now is too slow, and that they need to be going faster. They need to be going faster, not just for themselves, but to service the teams and the organizations that they work with, to be a leader that folks are proud to work with. So they have all of the motivation that they need. The thing that they don't know is the how. And that's where we come in. That's where the onboarding comes in. We're like, okay, cool. Let's take all of that energy. Let's take all of that motivation. We're just going to teach you a few simple things. So Superhuman command, for example, that dark box in the center of the Superhuman screen that I demoed. You only have to remember one keyboard shortcut, Command K. And if you don't know the shortcut for the thing that you're thinking of, just hit Command K, type in a few characters of what you're looking for. You can even type it wrong.
The navigator.
And it will tell you what the shortcut is. Exactly. And that is how, that in combination with the onboardings, is how we take people from a keyboard shortcut novice to a keyboard shortcut pro.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's go back to our inbox.
Let's get back to it. Well, thank you everyone for turning up today. And by the way, for folks who are looking for access to Superhuman, there is this massive wait list. It's about 320,000 people strong. But what we do say, is that if you are able to get a referral, then you can bounce to the top of the wait list. And for everyone who's here at the conference today, I am happy to be your referrer. So if you are interested in Superhuman and you use Gmail and G Suite, and we don't have an Android app yet, but if you have an iPhone, if you hit those criteria, just drop me a line, russell@superhuman.com, and I'll see what I can do to help out.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.